Hello and welcome to episode 372 of the Spanish Announce Table. My name is Thomas, usually joined by Tim, but Tim's got some things to take care of, so I'm going to be rolling solo tonight. Going to be talking to you about the weird and wacky world of professional wrestling and what a crazy week it was, right? We've got some things to talk about. We're going to follow the same format, even though I am rolling solo. A little bit shorter, of a segment than usual, because obviously we don't have the little ping pong between me and Tim, but that is all right. We are going to hear from you and hashtag tweet the table. Going to do a quick recap of AEW Dynamite, and then as always, educate you with some news. But since I am rolling solo tonight, I can kind of switch it up and do a little bit of a freestyle, and that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to combine the two segments to make the first segment. And what I mean by that, so we're going to get to a hashtag tweet the table that rolls into the news. So let's get started with, and again, for people watching on YouTube, you know that Tim does all the fun stuff here. So this is a peek behind the curtain, right? This is it. This is the library. This is where Papa Shango, is his library. So that's where I'm at. So you're not going to see it up top because, again, he has that software. I do not. But nonetheless, let's get right to it. We're going to kick it off with at P Payton 34, new to hashtag tweet table. So thank you so much. Paul Payton, P Payton 34 on Twitter. He says, "What do you guys think of Cody Rhodes' situation? Work or shoot? Hashtag tweet the table." And that's the news, right? So the biggest news story of the week is it's being reported by multiple reputable websites across the pro wrestling, internet wrestling community that Cody is no longer in AEW. Now, he is one of the founders of AEW. He was one of the talents that is featured the most week to week on AEW Dynamite, their signature show. He's obviously the first person you would see on the intro to Dynamite. And now, apparently, he's gone. So the skeptic in all of us thinks, is this a work or is this a shoot? And so I'm going to just lay it out as far as what I think both sides, and then I'll try to give you my 2 cents. So is it a shoot? Well, it definitely seems like it could be, right? Obviously, if you were paying attention to the business side of AEW, you're aware that 3-year contracts was what everyone signed. It's been 3 years for Cody and Brandy, and they may have not reached a settlement on money or creative input, whatever it is, right? It's being reported that it was probably money and also Cody wishing he could be more of the creative input, creative source for AEW, unlike how it is currently right now with Tony Khan being that person. So, yeah, right? The contract's up. He says, I want this. Tony says, I don't think so. They can't come to an agreement. We go our separate ways. Now it looks like Cody may be going to the WWE. Now, that's just being assumed. That's one thing I'd like to point out here is we are just assuming that he's going to WWE. I know that it's being reported he may have talked to them, but he could easily go to New Japan. He could easily go to Impact. He could easily go back to the NWA heavyweight champion. His friend Matt Cardona is the champion. Why couldn't he do that? That would be fun, I would think, for him. So there's a number of options he has. I think that just the easy option is, well, WWE, right? There's only 2 shows in town. It's either AEW and WWE. If you're not on one, you're going to most likely be on the other. So that's all it can be. I don't think so. I don't think that that's the case. But it could be, right? So with the contract ending, we got WrestleMania season upon us. Big splash, major match, Cody versus a number of people. Miz, you could do Miz and Maurice versus Brandy and Cody. You could do Triple H and Stephanie versus Cody and Brandy. You could just do Triple H versus Cody with their wives in the corner. Same with Miz versus Cody, wives in the corner, right? We got some other things we could do. He could go right in there. Other generational talents, such as like a Randy Orton, second generation talent. He could go in there with a program with him. There's a lot of different creative things that they could potentially do, but I don't know. So again, could this be a shoot? Yeah, anything can happen. If you would have told me 2 years ago CM Punk's going to be in AEW, I don't know if I would have believed you. You could have also told me 2 years ago Daniel Bryan's going to leave the WWE on his own will to go to AEW and join them. I don't know if I'd believe you. Same with Adam Cole, but all of those things happened. So why not this time, right? So that's that part. It could easily happen. Business is business. Sometimes you're making choices in your own interest, not in the interest of, the IWC would love to have you stay with, AEW or WWE, whatever it is, right? Now, on the work part, you got some factors. One, he was a founding member of AEW. He did not leave WWE on the greatest of terms, in the sense that he got his release. He made his list of the 10 people he wanted to wrestle, and then he did his walkabout with the independent scene. And then, him alongside his other friends created AEW, and him more than the others, more than the Young Bucks, more than Kenny Omega, even more than Jericho or John Moxley, was the one that was taking the sledgehammer to the throne, right? His music starts with "there's more than one royal family" or whatever it is, right? So he's the one leaning in, if you're going to just look at it at face value, as the one that's saying, like, this is the war. It's my company and my friends versus the big giant WWE. So again, never say never, but it doesn't seem like WWE would be like, yeah, let's get that guy back in the fold. He seems very happy with us, right? Second thing that I would bring up is that AEW, all of their biggest moments have been debuts, right? Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, the first pay-per-view, John Moxley, CM Punk on the episode of Rampage. That's how they've been making these milestone moments, right? We did get one swerve with Kenny Omega and then taking the title to Impact Wrestling, but really that was just kind of, amongst the bubble of AEW and then other surrounding promotions, right? It wasn't a WWE AEW kind of moment. So what's the type of moment that they haven't had yet? A huge swerve. As I mentioned, they did have the Kenny Omega, and that was pretty big for the week, but this would be pretty incredible to have all of the news, all of the, all of the reports being put across all different websites that he's gone, taking him out of the intro for AEW Dynamite. And then all of it to just be Cody screws Hangman for the pay, or Hangman Adam Page for the championship. Or, you have him sit even a little bit longer. Kenny Omega comes back. You have Cody interject himself into the Bullet Club fun, right? Because really, since the Bullet Club went heel and did their thing, Cody's been an island to himself, just really doing his own thing with his own feuds and not really interacting with that, group of the Bullet Club anymore. So could he do that? Easy, right? And then that way he has a new contract, so then he can challenge for the AEW World Championship. It would piss everyone off. Then he could do that full heel turn. I never liked you anyways. I'm here for myself. I had to do it to get the championship shot. I could see that happening too. Also, you got to think, Brandy started AEW heels. And I know that hasn't taken off, but it's still a project that she worked on. She just did the, I believe it was the American Heart Association partnership. That just happened, 2 weeks ago. She had Paige Van Zant and her feuding, and that she has things that she's wanting to do. She wants to come back and wrestle. I don't think if she goes to WWE, they're that too keen on getting her into the ring, right? Also with Cody, he has his Culture City with the adaptive viewing experience for wrestling fans that, need those accommodations. He is also part of their outreach program, which he is such a huge fan of. Because, if you follow him on any type of social media, that's one of the things he pushes the most, right? Also, this is his baby. I would assume from just a personal standpoint, it would be hard to walk away from something you created just off the basis of, I need more money or I'd like a little bit more input. I would feel that it would have to be a major issue for you to leave something you created this soon, right? Because 3 years isn't that long. We've been doing this podcast for 8 years and I'm not leaving anytime soon. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's not the longest relationship they've had. This still is the honeymoon phase. So to walk away from that, I don't know if he's doing it. I don't know if he's doing it. So this is what I'll tell you from the news. Cody leaving AEW. I would not be shocked Saturday for Elimination Chamber. Austin Theory gets hurt, leading up to the match backstage. It's a mystery. Fill in the opponent. It turns out to be Cody. Cody then wins the championship. Cody versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. Wouldn't be shocked, even in the slightest. However, and again, I could be wrong. I was wrong on plenty of things. You can check the record, bud. I have guessed and failed millions of times, and I'm going to continue to do it more. So I'm not saying hand on Bible, this is the truth. But what my gut says is that this is a work. I feel like they're going to have him sit for however many months. Every time I think about this news story, my mind goes right to what's the one thing Cody really hasn't done yet in AEW, and that's be a part of a Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman, Adam Cole, that whole group of Bullet Club members. He hasn't been in on any of that. He hasn't interjected. He hasn't been on one side or the other. Now, they've done a little bit of stuff here and there, but like, it's never been his feud. It's always been he's either helped in a match or he kind of, I got your back, but I got something else to do. This would be the time he could go full heel, join, I'm assuming Adam Cole, because it seems like Adam Cole is going to be the one that goes heel in this Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Jay White, Red Wagon, all that stuff. So that's my gut. I really think he's staying. I would be pretty surprised. Again, I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but I would be shocked for someone like him who has a father who was not treated well in WWE to walk away, because he also was not being treated well in WWE, because remember, he was Stardust, right? This thing. I think this is a work to get a different kind of reaction and a different kind of moment for AEW. That's just what I think. I don't know. Hashtag tweet the table. Let me know what you think. I'm calling work, but I'm not betting on it. I'm not a betting man on this one. I'm not telling you that it's written in stone that he's staying at AEW. I don't know what's going to happen. But Paul, thanks for the tweet. My gut says this is a work. I don't know. We'll see. So, all right, let's get into it. Now, that was the news. Again, there's some other news stories, but I'm rolling solo. I don't really think that anything would trump the Cody news in the IWC, so I don't feel like it really needs to be warranted. I know that there's the Stone Cold rumor, Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens potentially at WrestleMania. We'll see, right? Like, that's a story. I don't even like that story was reported, because again, it's ruining the surprise. Because if Kevin Owens, lights go out and someone comes out and it's Stone Cold, well, I already read that it was going to be Stone Cold. So I kind of hate that I saw that story on my Twitter, but it is what it is. So let's get out of the news. Let's get into hashtag tweet the table. Again, we like to hear from you. We, as Tim likes to say, we are the voice of the voiceless. We want to talk about what you want to talk about. Obviously, we kicked it off with Paul asking about Cody. Is this a work or shoot, with a report that he is leaving? Gave you my 2 cents on that. But let's get into some more hashtag tweet the tables. First one comes from great friend of the show, Katie, the First Lady. She says about Bianca Belair's match on WWE Raw, the chamber match. Great match overall. Guess they're saving the final entrant reveal for hashtag WWE Chamber. My guess is it's Asuka. Hashtag tweet the table. Well, we found out it wasn't Asuka. It was actually underwhelming because it was just Alexa Bliss. Again, WWE. I don't get it anymore. Everything doesn't make sense. Everything feels last minute. And nothing feels special. You could have done something cool. Maybe not monumental and we're going to talk about for the, remaining time that we have in this year. Nothing like that. But like you could have done something cool this month with the reveal of Alexa Bliss in this chamber match. But nope, it was just, hey, by the way, she's in it. So Bianca Belair kills it. Goes like 40 minutes plus in this gauntlet match. Absolutely just does incredible. And then, oh, hey, by the way, that mystery person, it's going to be the one that's doing the backstage segments with the doctor. That's it. Cool, huh? I guess, again, we say this time after time, but like, who is into that? Who's into how they announce Alexa Bliss for the Elimination Chamber? Please tell me. Because that was lame as could be. Well, again, Katie follows up with that hashtag tweet the table. Says, well, scratch that theory. Little Miss Bliss is in hashtag WWE Chamber, hashtag tweet the table. So there you go. So again, it was just announced. Hey, by the way, there you go. She's in. Want to keep it moving? Okay, let's do that. Let's move on. So we got P. Peyton saying his thing. We got a couple from Devil Vamp, and I'm actually going to save those. So we're going to kind of sprinkle in the remaining hashtag tweet the tables throughout the episode, because what I want to do now is get into the AEW Dynamite recap for new listeners or new viewers or longtime listeners and longtime viewers. We know that we like to talk about AEW Dynamite because it's our favorite show. And when we talk about Dynamite, we want to do a little bit of a deep dive because so much happens and so much is fun. So let's get started with our AEW Dynamite recap. As I mentioned, we have the intro to Dynamite. Boom, we get Powerhouse Hobbs and Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. There's no Cody. Which is good attention to detail if this is a work. Just saying, it's good attention to detail. But we get the show kicked off with cross-legged CM Punk. And if you got a cross-legged CM Punk, something's going to happen here, right? Something is going to be said. There's going to be an announcement. He just doesn't do this for the heck of it. When he crosses his legs and takes a seat, you got something coming your way. And he goes and cuts a promo, and it's all about MJF. He starts it off though with a quote where I personally thought he was maybe going heel. Ends his first paragraph of this promo with saying, "I'm better than you." Now he doesn't do the "and you know it" kind of thing, but that's a promo he cut early in his career in the Independence, Ring of Honor, that time period. And he says that promo was the one that has spawned so many other careers, inspired so many other wrestlers. One in particular, MJF, right? And he keeps on pointing out to this thing where MJF keeps on calling himself Piper in Portland, Bret in Calgary, Punk in Chicago, right? But he keeps on going back to Piper. And it all leads to his announcement that his match against MJF will take place at Revolution and it's going to be a dog collar match with the caveat there. Not the caveat, but the sprinkle on top of the announcement is he asked, will you be my Valentine? Valentine's Day, 2 days ago. And the most famous dog collar match there is, Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Rowdy Piper. So I just thought that was perfect. I thought that was the coolest way to say, like, will you be my Valentine? It's timely for the holiday that just happened. It also ties into the most famous dog collar match they've had, or that's happened in pro wrestling. There's only been one other dog collar match in AEW, and they mentioned it, and they said Cody. That was another thing, right? They weren't shying away from, hey, it was Cody Rhodes and Brody Lee, but thought that was interesting. But yeah, there you go. So it's announced at Revolution, we're going to get CM Punk versus MJF in a dog collar match, which then brings out MJF. And CM Punk doesn't even give him a shot to talk. He just says, hey, look at this photo. This is the best day in your life. And to me, it was Friday. Woo! Come on. MJF doesn't even have a comeback. Doesn't even have a one-liner for him. Just throws the microphone down, walks off in disgust. Thought we kicked it off great with a really fun promo from CM Punk towards MJF. And MJF not trying to upstage it, understanding the moment and letting it breathe. I thought that was really cool too. So we get a commercial break, then we come back. Tony Schiavone is backstage with Jurassic Express. And this was fun, right? It's announced that at Revolution, it's going to be Jurassic Express in a triple threat for the tag team championships. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I have a theory of who that's going to be. My theory, and we'll get to it, I guess, because again, I'm just freestyling this. My theory is the other two teams, Young Bucks, Red Dragon for new listeners. I like to call them Red Wagon. I think it's those two. I think it's going to be the Young Bucks, Red Dragon, Jurassic Express, triple threat at Revolution. I think you got some stories to tell with Jurassic Express being the tag champs. That obviously gives them credibility to be in the match as they are the champions, but you get the storytelling between Super Elite Bullet Rubber Band Club, right? That seems like it's where it's going to go. So we'll see. We also got a little dig on Jungle Boy to Christian Cage saying, hey, I know how to win elimination matches too, huh? Isn't that right? Because if you recall, that's how Jungle Boy beat Christian Cage in their one match against each other. But yeah, so here we go. We're going to get already 2 matches announced for Revolution, a dog collar match, MJF versus CM Punk, and then a triple threat tag team championship match. Good night. We haven't even gotten to the ring yet, and we've got some crazy announcements. So let's get into the ring, right? We have Bryan Danielson versus Lee Moriarty. And what the moves that they did throughout this match would make even the most curmudgeon, I don't like, I wanted to make it look real. They were still doing some of the craziest, pretzel-like submissions on each other. There was at one point they were balancing on their heads, but their legs were connected and they're punching each other in the gut, giving a how's your father? And it was just awesome. Just liked it so much. Bryan Danielson gets the victory, does the triangle choke a la Nate Diaz on Kurt Pellegrino. If you remember that, if you haven't, go Google it, with a modified version from Bryan Danielson doing the flex, where if you've watched the Nate Diaz version, he's doing the double middle fingers. Still a cool, paying homage to the OG Nate Diaz in that spot there. So I like that. And as soon as we get done with the match, who comes out? Oh, it's Jon Moxley. And Jon Moxley has some shit to talk. He comes out and he's talking about, hey, I haven't beat you before, right? We met and I got in the ring. You showed up late, which, by the way, read the Daniel Bryan book. And he talks about this, where that was the first time he met Jon Moxley. It's a cool story in the book, but it was touched on, obviously, in this promo. And then Jon Moxley moves from that first match to then telling us he's never beat him one-on-one, never beat him in his career. And he wants to. But does he also want to join forces? And essentially we get at the very end, hey, I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. But if I stand next to anyone, I got to bleed with them first. And that tells me there's match number 3 announced for Revolution. Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. I think what we're going to get here is we're going to get a match at Revolution, a knockdown, drag-out war, where I think Jon Moxley wins so that we don't have that hanging over our head. Then, begrudgingly, he respects Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson maybe understands maybe he's not the top dog anymore, right? Because that would mean in the 2 biggest high-profile matches he's had, he's lost, because he would have lost to Jon Moxley, and then previous to that, he lost to Hangman Adam Page, right? Maybe he's like, well, maybe I do need to get me a stable, because it seems like that's what you do to get over and stay on top. So I think that's what happens. So we get our cake and eat it too, where we get the match that we want, Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, but then we get that very enticing stable of, violence and all the violence with that, right? So I think that's where we're going. We'll see. Now let's get back to a hashtag tweet the table, because our next hashtag tweet the table deals with the Bryan Danielson Lee Moriarty match. Comes to us from @DevilVamp. It says, the violent Bryan Danielson is fucking insane. This guy portrays an amazing psychopath, more than Mox, to be honest. I don't know about that. That's a great tweet. Love it. Thanks, DevilVamp, for giving us your input here on AEW Dynamite. Look, Bryan Danielson will kick your head in, and he will, put you in submissions that will make you quit even before you even realize what's happening to you, right? All of those things are true. However, let's not forget that Jon Moxley's the GCW heavyweight champion, right? If you don't know what GCW is, go Google that as well. Go watch a YouTube video. And just watch the Jon Moxley Nick Gage match where Moxley retained his championship over Nick Gage. That wasn't, side headlocks and kicks to the chest. That was some glass in your mouth and on your forehead and a pizza cutter and whatnot. So I'm not saying that the violence Bryan Danielson displays is not impressive. It's very impressive, but it's more competitive. I feel like Bryan Danielson pushes the limits of almost getting disqualified, but not getting that close, but making sure that his opponent knows that he was in a match with Bryan Danielson, where Jon Moxley could care less if he wins or loses. His whole objective is, I'm going to make sure my opponent is hurt, right? He could lose 1, 2, 3, but as long as he knows, hey, that guy is not walking in the same way he's walking out, I think, or walking out the same way he walked in, I think he's happy. So yeah, both very violent wrestlers, especially in the AEW landscape, especially a Bryan Danielson now compared to the Daniel Bryan we saw. This is the best work that I've ever seen. Obviously, I've seen some of the Ring of Honor work, but I wasn't following it, week by week. Back then, this is what I'm following now, and it is incredible. Absolutely awesome. And credit to Lee, too, in this match. He held his own. He did really well. This was a good showing for him. It wasn't as if this was a squash match and then kick you to the curb. Let's talk about Moxley and Danielson. Lee got in there and got his stuff in. And obviously Danielson won because that's the right move to have. But I'm interested if they do this faction, the names that they mentioned, Daniel Garcia, Lee, 2.0, I think is who they mentioned. I don't recall everyone that they were talking about, but how does that happen? Right? Do they just knock on your door and yell violence and then you just join? I don't know. So it's going to be interesting. I love the storytelling so far from AEW, especially with this story. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Next up, we get Keith Lee. He talks about, hey, step 1 of this takeover is getting that match over with and getting qualified for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Phase 2 is winning that ladder match. So it was good to see Keith Lee in a promo on AEW. And as we talk about in this next match, looks like we might have just the biggest, meatiest men slapping meat in a ladder match, because Keith Lee won his match. He is in the ladder match. After his promo, we get the second qualifier match of the Face of the Revolution ladder match, Wardlow versus Max Caster, and Wardlow wins. So now we got Wardlow and Keith Lee. Those are your first two entrants into this ladder match. And let's just say those aren't luchadors, right? We're not getting backflips and Hurricane Ranas. I mean, maybe those guys are super athletic, so possibly, but you understand what I'm saying. We're not getting the Dante Martins, who has a match on Friday night against Powerhouse Hobbs. I think Dante Martin takes that so that we do get some diversity in the match. But I wouldn't hate it if Powerhouse Hobbs gets in. And then you get Powerhouse Hobbs, Keith Lee, and Wardlow as your first three entrants. Come on, huh? That's fun. That's going to be fun. Dante Martin will be fun too. I'm not saying like, oh, I would hate it, but give me all the meatiest men. Put in Brian Cage, put in Jake Hager. Who else do we got? Put in 10, right? Let's put them all in. Make it just big, meaty men throwing ladders at each other. That's what I want. But again, we get Wardlow with his Powerbomb Symphony, a little rinse repeat kind of from both guys. Max Caster does his shit with the promo or with the rap as he comes in, and then Wardlow gets the power bombs. We're all leaving happy, right? Backstage after the match, we get Tony Schiavone talking to Britt Baker, and she says to Mercedes Martinez, I brought you in here. I don't even care if you win. Well, I care that you win, but I want you to take out Thunder Rosa. Damn it. And then Cobra Kai shows up, which was weird. And it was just like, hey, sweep the leg or whatever. That was kind of weird. Look, earlier in the night too, we had Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or Clarissa Explains It All, depending on your age, how you know her. So some really random throwback celebrity moments in this episode. This one being the odder of the two, because, Sabrina was just in the crowd. Hey, I like wrestling. Cool. Great. Old Cobra Kai over here is, giving her the old Karate Kid advice, sweep the leg, take her out if she's weak, all this stuff. I don't know. It was fine. I don't want it to happen again, right? It was cool for one night, but like at the, Face or at Revolution, if we're getting Britt Baker rolling out of the ring to get advice from old villain and Karate Kid, not that interested, but it was still fine. Then let's get back into the champion. There we go. Sorry about that. Missed my spot there for a second. So after a commercial break, then we get Tony Schiavone talking to the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Hangman Adam Page. And just like they do in AEW, before Hangman can even get 4 sentences out, Adam Cole, baby, comes out and he just goes right in on Hangman. Now, they did this very respectfully, right? Where he was saying all the right things to give him being Hangman, the respect he deserves, but says, like, I'm in this promotion to be champion, and realize we've known each other a long time, and every time we're in the same promotion, you're the other Adam. I am the marquee. I am the main eventer. Adam Cole Bay is who they come to see. They don't come to see Hangman. Hangman retorts and says, hey, you've been everywhere. You've done everything. Doesn't it suck that you came here and you're not going to be champ? And that really got at Adam Cole. That was fun. That was a good line from Hangman. He didn't look out of place, Hangman. He held his own. But Adam Cole really led the dance with this promo. And he ends it with a handshake. Hey, when the time is right, me and you, we're going to wrestle for that championship. They shake hands. Adam Cole walks out, gives us a little grin. Red Wagon comes out, and they're cleaning house on all Hangman. Adam Cole runs in, and he puts the boots to him. So all that for nothing, right? The Undisputed Era, They're here to kick Hangman's ass. So they're doing it. They're kicking him. And Hangman's old friends, the Dark Order, comes out and they clear house. And then 10 just snaps. Just was like, I need violence in my life. Chaos is fun. What are these security guards doing in the ring? They need to be sued. And that's what he does. He takes this guy, see ya. Takes that guy, see ya. And just cleans house. To the point where it was a segment with Hangman Adam Page and Adam Cole. And you left the segment going like, is 10 okay? What happened to that guy? So Friday night, I think it was announced for Friday night, we're going to get Adam Cole versus 10. Fun matchup. But really the person I was the most impressed with at the end of this segment was 10, because I was like, that guy is on a rampage. Again, put him in that Face of the Revolution match with Keith Lee, Brian Cage, and Wardlow. Brian Cage hasn't, been qualified or announced. I'm just saying, put those guys in there. I'm all for that. But that's what we get the Hangman segment from, and it was all fine. And then again, backstage, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, excuse me, I'm out of order. I apologize. What we got next was a tag team match. Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, Santana and Ortiz, the Inner Circle Civil War. And before the match even could get going, we get a surprise. We get the surprise of Eddie Kingston. And I tell you what, any episode that has Eddie Kingston is instantly the best episode of AEW Dynamite. And this was fun. He was the glue that made this feud make more sense. With him absent, I understood the motivations of Santana and Ortiz, but there wasn't that bonding agent that said, okay, well, where would they go or what's their motivation? Well, Eddie Kingston being their friend, Eddie Kingston getting in their ear saying that they could be better if they were out of the Inner Circle. That makes more sense of why now there's this instant beef with Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, which, by the way, Jake Hager, I know I mentioned him for the Face of the Revolution match. I wouldn't mind it. But is there anyone in AEW who is more not the mold of AEW than Jake Hager? And he's been there since day one. I think he debuted on the debut episode of Dynamite where they formed the Inner Circle. And I don't know, he just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. There's just, AEW has a vibe and a feel and a look and a wrestling style. And Hager isn't it. I mean, I'm not saying that he's bad. His promos aren't great. But, God, look, if we're cutting people and contracts are expiring, Tony Khan, I'm not going to hate if you let his go. You know what I mean? But anyhow, this match was good. Credit to Chris Jericho, because he takes the pin from Santana. And he didn't have to, right? Jake Hager could have took this. Or they could have done kind of a schmoz finish. Now, Jericho punches Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston falls to the ground. Then that's when Santana gets his finisher in. And Jericho takes the pin. So it was a little bit, not as clean as it could be. But he took it, right? He lost. It was in the middle of the ring. And then as soon as the match is over, Jericho just, son of a bitch, that Eddie Kingston, which how many wrestlers right now have said that? It feels like half the roster, or if more, have a beef with Eddie Kingston. I think we need to revisit that segment from a few months ago where Eddie Kingston did a promo on all of his enemies. And the first one he said was God, which I thought was funny. I think Eddie Kingston needs to revisit that, because now he's got 2.0, Daniel Garcia, Jake Hager, Chris Jericho. Is he still cool with John Moxley? Because now John Moxley's back. We don't know, right? Like, they could be cool. There's just a lot of stuff happening around Eddie Kingston. It would be cool to have him get a little bit more of a focus. Because again, CM Punk is another one that he has beef with. But yeah, Jericho and Kingston, they brawl. So again, another match that I think is going to be happening at Revolution, Eddie Kingston, Chris Jericho. Styles that I don't necessarily will be the greatest match in the world, but promos and storytelling leading up to it, I'm in for, right? That's going to be fun. And they're not going to have a bad match at all. They're really talented wrestlers. I'm just going to say, a John Moxley, Bryan Danielson, from just an in-ring standpoint, is probably going to have a higher quality, but Eddie Kingston, Chris Jericho might even have better promos going into their match. So excited to see what that happens. Now, again, as I mentioned, Adam Cole is backstage with the Bucks and Fish and O'Reilly, Red Wagon. And Cole asks the Bucks, hey, where were you? And Cole then says he's going to kick Ten's ass on Rampage. And then next week, there's going to be two battle royals to determine the number one contenders. That's where I think we're going to get the Young Bucks and Red Dragon as the winners of those matches. That makes the triple threat between those teams and the champs, the Jurassic Express. But then they leave, right? So the Young Bucks go left, Red Dragons go right, or vice versa. I don't remember. And then Adam Cole is just stuck in the middle. And Cutler even goes like, which way you're going to go? And Cole just snaps at him. He's like, turn off the camera, damn it. Because where does he go? He leaned one way, then he went the other way. These two teams obviously don't like each other. They're competitive. Doesn't seem like they were really great friends before Adam Cole got them all in the same room. So what happens with Adam Cole? I think the writing on the wall says he goes Undisputed Era. Kenny Omega comes back. We get Young Bucks, Kenny Omega versus Undisputed Era. I think that's where we're going. I think that's kind of the consensus across the board of what everyone thinks, but it's still going to be fun to get there. Now we get back into the ring, and it's that no disqualification match. Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa. Again, not the biggest fan of the placement of the women's match. It's always right before the main event. We always got to get it right in before the main event. Why don't we kick off with this? You know, we could have had Punk in this spot right before the main event. He did that awesome. And you could have kicked it off with a knockdown, drag-out fight, which was Mercedes Martinez and Thunder Rosa. And these two women brought it. There was chairs and pipes and more chairs and just incredible amount of violence from two late. The suplex through kind of half the table or whatever that was. It was violence. And it was awesome. And Thunder Rosa wins, which then pisses off Britt Baker. So Britt Baker comes out with her two goons, you know, two ladies that are with her, and they're beating up Thunder Rosa. And then they finally say, Mercedes, take the pipe, hit her in the head. Now, after that kind of a war, and they did have a handshake post-match, Mercedes Martinez kind of gives a, you know, thinks on it a little bit more than I think Britt Baker liked. So she has no patience for it, takes her out, right? So it looks like it's going to be Hayter Martinez coming soon, but it looks like at Revolution, we're getting Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. And if you've listened to me once, you're going to hear it again. I cannot wait for this. Figure out a lights out match or no disqualification like this was, but give me the violence between these two women. Because the last time they did it, it was match of the year. Last year's match of the year, in my opinion, Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. You run that back at a pay-per-view that has all the matches that have already been announced, MJF, CM Punk, I think it steals the show. I think it steals the show over all of those matches because these two women just have chemistry, I think, and they know how to tell a story, and they're willing to go to that next level. So I am over the moon excited for the build-up and match between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. Can't be more excited. Love it, love it, love it. So after that match, we get a video package from the House of Black. Looks like there's a third member. Ooh, look at this. Ooh, third member. The guy had a beard, looked like. I didn't do like a, frame by frame dissection of the vignette, but it looked like the third person had a beard. Now, who could that be? I think Easy Money says it's Buddy Murphy. That feels just like a safe, easy bet to say, like, can't be someone that overshadows Aleister Black or Brody King, but also someone at a Brody King level that can hold his own in a tag match or in a singles match. Buddy Murphy, I think, checks all those boxes. But wouldn't it be fun if it was Bray Wyatt? Wouldn't that be fun? Aleister Black concedes this, craziness to a higher power, which is Bray Wyatt. I think that would be fun. I don't think that's what they're doing, but I wouldn't hate it. No, so I think it's Buddy Murphy. He's the free agent. He was the one teasing the last time when there was a debut. I can't even remember who the debut was now. But Buddy Murphy was kind of saying it could be me, it could be me, and then it was a swerve and it was someone else. Hashtag tweet table if you remember that, because I can't remember who that was. They've had so many debuts: Keith Lee, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, all the names out there. Brody King. But yeah, should be interesting to see what we get, because next week we're gonna get 2/3 of Death Triangle taking on 2 members of the House of Black again, which, I mean, all 4 guys are telling amazing stories. Pac with the Bird Box thing, Penta with Dark Mask, Venom style Penta coming out, and the House of Black doing all their crazy tarot cards and witchcraft and whatnot. I'm down for it. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. Then what do we get here? Then we get a video package of Jay White talking about how he beat Kenny Omega, and if he didn't run Kenny Omega out of New Japan, there would be no AEW. So, thank you. Say your thank yous to Jay White, because obviously he created this AEW, at least in his mind. So a little shit talking on Kenny Omega, which should be interesting to hear the feedback from Adam Cole. How does he feel about that, right? But Friday night, we're going to get Jay White versus Trent. Should be a fun match. I think Trent can give anyone a showcase match that they need for a new audience. He knows how to sell for those talents like Jay White, like Adam Cole, Jay Lethal as well. He can make those newer talents for a crowd who may not have seen them before look good. So that should be fun. And then after the commercial break, we get into the main event, the TNT Championship match. Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, 2 of the 4 pillars in AEW, as we're told. And they go at it. Babyface versus babyface. This crowd, not only for this match, by the way, for the entire show, was off the charts. I actually, on Twitter, at Table Show, I live tweet during the show. I even said, I'm jealous. I want to be there. That crowd was just hot for everything. The CM Punk promo, Eddie Kingston walking out, Thunder Rosa with the chair looking like Kill Bill. Obviously this match with all of its high spots, they were just outstanding. Credits to wherever they were. I didn't write down where they were, but credit to that crowd. It wasn't Green Bay, obviously. So wherever that was, thumbs up to you. But this main event for the TNT Championship match had it all, right? Had a counter to the suicide dive into a cutter. You had Sammy Guevara bouncing off the ring apron. You had Darby Allin bouncing off the top rope from a gut buster or whatever it is. And then at the end, when it looks like we get Darby Allin going to give Sammy Guevara the old coffin drop, Andrade walks out and knocks out old Darby Allin. Sammy Guevara, none the wiser, takes advantage of the situation, hits him with his finisher, and Sammy Guevara is still your TNT champion with the 2 belts, which, by the way, another thing, if you're kind of looking at, is Cody gone? I feel like if he was gone, Sammy would have walked out with 1 belt. We're putting under the rug, hey, Sammy's been champ this entire time, right? What the hell was that interim thing? It was a fun moment, but look who it is. Having the 2 belts reminds me as the viewer that Cody had 1 of them. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know. Again, more conspiracy theories. It's fun to have fun in pro wrestling with those conspiracy theories. We shall see. But Sammy Guevara retains in this match, and then Matt Hardy runs down and attacks Darby Allin. Guevara gets back into the ring to help Darby. Guevara and Matt Hardy are fighting each other, which then allows Andrade to hit, I think it was Sammy Guevara, with his tablet, or whatever the hell that thing was. It looked like a tablet to me. I don't know what it was. And now it looks like Andrade stands over Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara. So do we get a triple threat at Revolution for the TNT Championship? Huh? We're getting all the gimmicks, it seems like. Dog collar matches, triple threats, whatever Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa are going to do is going to be not a traditional match, I assume. So Revolution is already, we're mid-February and that match is beginning of March. We are already shaping this card up to be one you can't miss. I'm very excited about that. I'm also very excited for Friday night, AEW Dynamite, or excuse me, AEW Rampage. Dynamite's Wednesdays, Rampage is Friday. Duh, I know that. And for this episode, thought it was really good. Didn't think there was any, home run moments. We're not going to look back and say like, it wasn't a Keith Lee debut or a Bryan Danielson debut or anything like that. But these episodes set such a high standard that this episode on any other promotion's television is an all-time classic. And for AEW, it's another high bar that they achieved on a Wednesday night. It's incredible. Everything that they're doing right now, in my opinion, is a home run. I know you could nitpick and, pinpoint some things. Jade Cargill is a TBS champion, but she really doesn't defend the championship on TBS. Right? I mean, I get it. But that's splitting hairs. Generally speaking, all of the stories, all of the major stories that they have are outstanding. And I love it. I can't wait for next week. And as mentioned, I am running solo. If you haven't caught on by now, there's no one else I'm talking to except for you. So we're going to cut this one a little early. I appreciate the tweet the tables. Again, join that conversation. We will respond to your hashtag tweets the tables throughout the week. So don't think that if you use it, we are just going to sit on it. We'll read it and we'll respond to it if need be. But we will also save it for the podcast episode and talk to you on the next show. But again, we got Revolution coming up Saturday. We got Elimination Chamber, which should be something. I don't know. It's going to happen. Not too excited about that show, if I'm being honest, because it seems icky. That's what I'll say. Seems icky. But you guys are not icky. You like that transition? We like you so much. Excited to talk to Tim next week. Excited to talk to you next week. And as always, use hashtag tweet the table, and we will talk to you soon.